What if I told you that everything you think you know about electric cars, good or bad, might be wrong? Electric cars have become one of the most talked about technologies of our time. They're praised as the solution to climate change, criticized as expensive toys for the wealthy, celebrated as engineering marvels, and accused of hiding environmental costs behind bright screens and glossy marketing. Somewhere between the headlines, the hype, and the heated arguments online lies a more complicated reality. This is the truth about electric cars, what they genuinely offer, where they fall short, and what the future may actually look like. Electric cars, or EVs, are often treated as if they arrived out of nowhere, but their story began more than a century ago. Before gasoline engines rose to dominance, early electric vehicles quietly glided down streets in cities like New York, London, and Paris. They were clean, silent, and surprisingly practical for their time. But gasoline cars won primarily because oil was cheap, engines improved rapidly, and no one was yet thinking about climate change. Now history is looping back. With technological advances and growing environmental concerns, EV have re-emerged, this time with global momentum behind them. Yet the transition is far from simple. To understand the truth about electric cars, we need to push past slogans and look closely at what EV actually are. Machines built from metals, powered by electricity that comes from real energy grids and driven by people who have real-world needs. There is no perfect technology, but there are technologies that move us forward. So let's break down what's real, what's exaggerated, and what's misunderstood. Let's start with perhaps the biggest question: are electric cars actually better for the environment? The short answer: yes, but not always in the way people expect, and not everywhere to the same degree. The long answer is more interesting. EV produce zero exhaust emissions, and that's a big deal. No tailpipe means no nitrogen oxides, no carbon monoxide, and no particulate pollution coming out of the car itself. This is especially important in cities where exhaust fumes contribute to asthma, heart disease, and premature deaths. But critics argue that EVs simply shift pollution upstream to the power plants that generate electricity. That concern made sense a decade ago, when many countries still relied heavily on coal. But today, the energy grid is changing. Solar and wind power are becoming cheaper every year. Natural gas has replaced a significant portion of coal consumption, and in many regions, especially in Europe and parts of the United States and Asia, electricity is getting cleaner as renewable energy expands. When you look at the full life cycle of an electric car, from mining materials to manufacturing, charging, and eventual recycling, EV almost always end up cleaner than gasoline cars over their lifetime. The difference varies, but on average, an electric vehicle emits far less carbon dioxide over the years it's driven. In countries with very clean grids, the advantage is enormous. In places where electricity is still generated mainly from coal, the benefits are smaller but still present, because electric motors are simply more efficient than internal combustion engines. But does that mean EVs are an environmental silver bullet? Not exactly. The batteries that power electric cars require minerals like lithium, cobalt, and nickel. Mining these materials can be energy-intensive, environmentally disruptive, and in some cases linked to unethical labor practices. This is a serious issue, and one that EV manufacturers can't ignore. The good news is that alternatives and improvements are emerging. Companies are developing cobalt-free batteries, working on lithium extraction methods that use less water, and expanding battery recycling programs to reduce reliance on new mining. The industry is far from perfect, but it's evolving quickly and often in the right direction. Now let's talk about another major point of debate: range and charging. Critics say electric cars don't go far enough and take too long to charge. Supporters argue that most people drive far less in daily life than they think. The truth is somewhere in between. Most modern electric cars offer ranges between 200 and 350 miles, with some models exceeding 400. That's enough for the vast majority of daily driving needs. The average person drives around 30 to 40 miles per day. For commuting, errands, and everyday travel, EVs are more than capable. The challenge comes when people need to travel long distances, road trips, vacations, visiting families several states away. Charging infrastructure can be inconsistent. Some charging stations are fast and reliable. Others are slow or poorly maintained, and depending on where you live, chargers may be plentiful or frustratingly scarce. Charging speed has also become a key point of confusion. A fast charger can bring an EV from 10% to 80% in 20 to 30 minutes. But that depends on the car, the charger, and even the temperature. Cold weather affects battery performance. Older EV might not charge as quickly as newer models, and not all fast chargers are equally fast. Still, progress is undeniable. Charging networks are expanding. Governments are offering incentives to build more stations. Businesses from malls to supermarkets to hotels are realizing that EV chargers attract customers. At-home charging remains the greatest advantage of electric cars. The ability to start each morning with a full tank is something gasoline cars simply cannot compete with. For many EV owners, the convenience of home charging outweighs all other concerns. But what about cost? Are electric cars cheaper or more expensive in the long run? Upfront, EV often cost more than comparable gasoline cars. Batteries are expensive, though prices have been steadily decreasing. But once you start driving, the economics shift. Electricity is generally cheaper than gasoline per mile. Electric motors require far less maintenance, no oil changes, no spark plugs, no exhaust systems, far fewer moving parts. Brake pads last longer thanks to regenerative braking. Over time, many EV owners save thousands on fuel and maintenance. Some people worry about battery replacements. The idea of suddenly paying $10,000 or more for a new battery is scary. But the reality is that EV batteries are lasting much longer than early skeptics predicted. Many come with warranties of 8 years or more. Studies show that most batteries lose only a small percentage of capacity each year. And as technology improves, replacement costs are dropping. Now let's address something that often gets overlooked in the conversation: performance. Electric cars aren't just efficient, they're fast. Really fast. Instant torque means immediate acceleration. Even modest EV can feel quick compared to traditional cars. High-end electric models outperform some of the most expensive sports cars in the world. This doesn't make E better in every way. Gasoline cars still dominate areas like sustained high-speed performance and refueling speed, but it does show that electric cars are more than just an environmentally friendly option. They're often genuinely exciting to drive. But excitement alone won't determine the future of transportation. What matters is adoption, infrastructure, policy, consumer preference, and technological progress. The truth is that the world is moving toward electric mobility, but the pace varies dramatically by region. Some countries are racing ahead while others lag behind due to cost, infrastructure limitations, or political decisions. The debate around electric cars often becomes emotional. People project their values, fears, and hopes onto them. Some see them as symbols of progress. Others view them as forced change or part of a political agenda. But underneath all the noise is a simple fact. No major technology transition in history has been perfect. The shift from horses to cars was messy. The adoption of the internet was messy. Renewable energy has been messy. Yet these transitions improved lives and reshaped society. Electric cars are not perfect. They won't solve every environmental problem on their own. They won't eliminate the need for better public transportation, cleaner energy grids, and smarter urban planning. But they do offer a path forward, one that reduces emissions, lowers long-term operating costs, and opens doors to new innovations. The truth about electric cars is not that they're flawless. It's that they represent progress, and progress is rarely simple, easy, or universally loved at first. The more we understand their strengths and their limitations, the better decisions we can make as individuals and as a society. So where does that leave you? If you're considering an electric car, don't rely on hype, positive or negative. Look at your driving habit. Look at your local charging infrastructure. Look at your budget. Look at your needs. For some people, an EV is already the perfect choice. For others, the timing may not be right yet, and that's okay. What matters is understanding the full picture, not just the headline. But one thing is certain: electric cars are not a fad. They are a fundamental shift in how we think about transportation, energy, and our relationship with the planet. They're here to stay, and they're only getting better. And now, after hearing the truth beyond the myths, arguments, and misconceptions, it's your turn to decide what comes next. If you want to stay informed about the future of transportation and make smarter choices in a rapidly changing world, take a moment to explore more. Read, compare, test drive, ask questions, and keep learning. The road ahead is electric, and you deserve to navigate it with clarity.